It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
Okay, question from Ryan. He says, what is the right frequency for dollar cost averaging, especially in a down market? Would it be better to do daily, weekly, or monthly maybe? Also, make sure everybody knows what dollar cost averaging is before you answer this question, because sometimes we throw that out there. And I remember when I didn't know what that was.
Man, when I hear what's the frequency, I think of an REM song. I think of 96 Rock. I mean, there's all kind of things that just flew through. That's not what he was asking, by the way.
I was going to say, nobody here is going to know what 96 Rock was.
Two for Tuesdays, back when I was doing plumbing all through college. But it was one of those things where, Ryan, I think this is a great question. And Reby, to your point, dollar cost averaging is just the process of that no matter what's going on in the financial world, you're always going to be buying. Is that you set up, that's why 401ks, 403bs, they're great, is that your employer has these plans where automatically every month a portion of your pay is coming out and getting invested. So that's what it is. It's just a systematic investment process on either some period of time. And you mentioned weekly, monthly, quarterly. Bo, what are your thoughts on when you should do it?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Vanguard did a great study on this, talking about, they looked at a bunch of different periods to see when the optimal dollar cost averaging strategy was. They looked at periods as short as 3 months to, I think, periods as long as 24 months. And what they determined is, looking at it mathematically optimally, they came up with about 10 months. So if you're dollar cost averaging a large sum of money, 10 months on a monthly basis was kind of like the ideal period. I would shift that a little bit, and I would say the appropriate dollar cost averaging period for you is the period that allows you to stick to the plan. Even though we know that we love 10 months and there's some academic research to substantiate that, it's not uncommon, Brian. We'll have someone who builds a business and they have a big sale and they might be selling it for 10, 15, 20 million bucks. And they come to us and say, hey, I've got this sale, I've got these proceeds, I want to invest this. And they say, but 10 months, holy cow, that just seems fast. What if we did this over 16 months, 18 months? That's okay. If that's what you need to be able to feel comfortable in the plan that you have, then that's great. Other people come to us and say, hey, I just got this inheritance, but man, I'm in my 30s and I'm not retiring anytime soon. And it's a big sum of money, but man, the market's kind of down right now. I'd be okay if we dollar cost averaged over 3 or 4 months. I think that is okay too. I think it's okay to allow some of your personal preference and behavioral self. I think it's okay to let that dictate what dollar cost averaging strategy you do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great overview, especially if you're coming into lump sum, once in a lifetime type money, because we do know lump sum is typically better because markets make money 8 out of 10 years from in the economic cycle sense. But it is one of those things where the bigger the sum of money, the more risk that what happens if you hit one of those 2 years out of every decade. But I want to talk about the behavioral side of it. We're financial mutants. And this gets to be a sickness. I'm being self-reflective here. I originally started just buying monthly. You know, when my household, we were dollar cost averaging every month. Now I realize, you know what I like? I like when the market's down 2% for the day. I like knowing I have money going in. There's some weird psychological behavioral thing that feels like I'm getting a deal, even though as a percentage of my total holdings, this is so minuscule. But for some reason, from an emotional standpoint, it feels good. So I have gone to the extreme. I actually buy about weekly.
About weekly. All right.
I mean, it really, well, you know, I'm definitely 3 times a month. I haven't added that 4th because I am buying, I have the 1st, the 15th, the 20th, and then I have some ancillary things for the girls, my daughters. They come in at like the 25th. So I'm buying pretty much weekly.
Hey, but how about this? A lot of people forget this. When you have 401k contributions, that's one that happens at the end of the month, right? So that's one of the dollar cost, right? So if you think about it, a lot of us, we don't realize that even though we're on a monthly schedule, if your payroll happens at the end of the month, but then you have your taxable account, then you have your IRAs, it's not uncommon that even though you're on a monthly dollar cost averaging schedule, it happens a few times throughout the course of that month.
So that's that part of it, Ryan. Now, you also have to pay attention to your cash flow. If you're a person that gets bonuses maybe on a quarterly basis, there's nothing wrong if your dollar cost averaging increment is quarterly because that's when the money comes in. So you there's several things. If you're doing a decision matrix, when do you have the money? Because that's going to be a key. Because you don't want to do a start-stop approach to dollar cost averaging. It makes me sad when I see people start investing on a systematic way, but then they stop because they didn't take into account that, hey, my cash flow isn't actually very level. I mean, it's all over the place. So that needs to come into your plan and design, but then make sure it has the stick with it, the consistency, that you're not going to structure this and then it's going to stop because of emotional or cash flow. You want to give this thing the best opportunity to be an automated wealth building process.